Hello, everyone. Welcome to Empower Fantastic Life. Find your power, live without limits. It's so good to have you here with us today.
All right, let's just jump right in with a question for you. When you picture a really persuasive person, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Is it someone who's just incredibly eloquent? That person with a silver tongue who can argue their way out of anything? For the longest time, that's what we all thought. But you know what? Today, we're going to flip that idea on its head and show you a method that's way more powerful. And the best part is, it actually involves you talking a whole lot less.
So, what is this big secret? Well, it comes from an amazing book by Alan Pease called Questions Are the Answers. And the core idea is so simple, it's brilliant. It turns out the most powerful form of persuasion has nothing to do with giving a flawless speech. Nope. It's all about asking the right questions. Questions that actually guide the other person to convince themselves.
Okay, let's really break this down. Think about it. On one side, you've got the old way, right? Just endless talking. You're explaining, you're debating, you're trying to push your ideas, and honestly, it usually feels like you're trying to push a giant rock up the hill. But then there's the new way, using a few very precise questions. See, instead of pushing, you're just inviting them. You're helping them look inside and find their own reasons to make a change. It's a huge shift from trying so hard to be interesting to simply being interested.
Now, before we can even use these techniques, we've got to get our mindset right. I mean, so many people just give up too soon, right? They face a couple of rejections, they take it personally, and that's it. But what if we stopped treating it like a game of chance and started looking at it like, well, like a simple math problem? This is where the law of averages comes in. It's such a powerful concept because it takes all the emotion out of rejection. The whole idea is that you don't need every single person to say yes. You just need to talk to enough people to find the few who are already on your wavelength. So every no you get, it's not a failure. It's not personal. It's just one step closer to finding that yes. Let me give you a simple analogy. Imagine you're new in town and you're dying for a great cup of coffee. You might ask 10 people on the street for a recommendation. Maybe 6 of them just shrug. 2 point you to some big chain you don't really like. Another one sends you to a place that's not even open. But that 10th person? That 10th person tells you about this incredible little hidden gem, the best coffee you've ever had. Now, would you get mad at those first 9 people? Of course not. They were just part of the process of finding the one. That's the law of averages, plain and simple. So let's say you found someone who's open to talking. What's the very first thing you do? Well, it's not launching into your sales pitch. The first, and honestly the most important step, is to figure out their motivation. See, people only do things for their reasons, not for yours. So you have to become a kind of detective and start digging for their why. In the book, this is called the prime motivating factor, or PMF. It's that deep, personal, core desire that actually makes someone want to change. Here's a great example. You could have 2 people who both say they want to get fit. On the surface, it's the same goal. But for one person, the real PMF, the real driver, is having enough energy to play with their grandkids. For the other, maybe it's about gaining the confidence to finally start their own business. The goal looks the same, but the why underneath is totally different. And these prime motivating factors, they usually fall into a few key areas. Just think about the person you're talking to. What do they really want? Is it some extra income? Is it true financial freedom? Or maybe they have this dream of owning their own business, or just getting more free time to spend with family. For some people, it's all about personal growth. For others, it's a deep need to help other people. Your job isn't to guess. It's to listen and find out which one of these really hits home for them. Okay, so how in the world do you find that PMF? Well, this is where Alan Pease gives us this absolutely brilliant tool. He calls them the 5 solid gold questions. And this, right here, is the heart of the whole method. It's a simple framework that peels back the layers one question at a time. Let's walk through them. So you might show them a list of those common goals we just talked about. And you start with question number 1. Looking at this list, what is your number 1 priority? Let's say they pick more free time. Great. Now question 2, why did you pick that one? They might say, because I work way too much. Now you go a little deeper. Question 3, and why is that important to you? This is where it gets real. They might pause and say, because I feel like I'm missing my kids growing up. Wow. Okay, now question 4 really makes them feel it. What are the consequences if you don't achieve this? They have to face that reality. They might say, I'll regret it for the rest of my life. And then the final question seals the deal. Why does that worry you? That right there solidifies why they need to make a change.
right now. And here is the magic of this whole thing. Did you notice? You haven't tried to convince them of anything at all. You haven't made a single argument. They are the ones who just stated their goal, their reasons, their deep down emotions, and the pain of doing nothing. When all of those reasons come out of their own mouth in their own words, the conclusion is just undeniable. They are, quite literally, persuading themselves. All right, there's one last piece to this puzzle. It's the thing that makes everything else work. So you've just asked a really powerful, deep question. You've opened the door to their true motivation. What is the single most important thing you can do in that moment?
That's it. You just stay silent. And believe me, this is usually the hardest part for most of us. Our instinct is to jump in, to fill that quiet space, to offer a solution. But you have to fight that urge. After you ask a question like, why does that worry you? You have to give them the space to think and to feel and to come up with a real answer. That silence, that's where the real transformation happens.
And while you're being silent, you're not just zoning out, you're listening actively. And remember, Alan Pease is a body language expert, so he points out just how critical your nonverbal cues are here. You lean in just a little, you keep gentle eye contact, you nod your head to show you're with them. All these little signals create a safe space that makes them feel comfortable sharing what's really going on. So if there's one thing to take away, it's this. This whole approach demands a huge shift in your focus. You have to stop thinking about your own agenda, about your script, about what clever thing you're going to say next. Instead, your entire focus has to be on them and on creating an environment where they can have their own breakthrough, their own aha moment. True persuasion isn't about having all the answers. It's about asking the right questions. And that kind of brings us to our final thought. I want you to think about an important conversation you have coming up. It could be with a client, your boss, your partner, anyone. Now, instead of planning out everything you want to say, just think about this. Which one of those 5 golden questions could you adapt to really truly understand what's driving them? How might that one simple question change the entire conversation? Something powerful to think about. You've been listening to Empower Fantastic Life, Jaeger Empowerment Academy. See you next time. Bye-bye.